There's a small town in West Virginia where no one lives above the third floor. That's not a rule, not officially, but it's understood. Everyone knows what happened when the Thompsons built their house. A tall Victorian revival with a fourth-floor observatory. They moved in during the summer of 1997, and by October, their youngest daughter, Lily, was gone. No forced entry, no signs of struggle, just her bed, empty, and the window on the fourth floor wide open, curtains fluttering in the cold wind. They searched the woods, the rivers, the mountains. Nothing. And then it happened again. A year later, a family passing through town stayed at the old inn, the one with creaky stairs and a sagging roof. Their teenage son, Josh, insisted on taking the attic room, said he liked the view. They found the room empty the next morning, window open, one sock caught on the sill like he'd been dragged out mid-step. After that, locals started whispering about the fourth step. The stairs in the oldest buildings, especially those leading above the third floor, all have one strange thing in common. The fourth step creaks differently. Not Old Wood Creek, not Pressure Creek, it's wet. Like something breathing through waterlogged lungs. Tourists don't notice, but locals, they'll skip it. Either step over it or double up one stair to avoid it altogether. One woman, Eleanor Wells, the town's librarian, said she slipped once, accidentally putting her full weight on the fourth step on her way to the storage loft. Said she heard whispering. Said it sounded like her mother, who had died 3 years earlier. Last fall, a group of amateur ghost hunters came to town. They were cocky, loud, disrespectful. Locals warned them, told them about the step, about the open windows, about the wind that always came from above, never below. They laughed. Set up their equipment in an abandoned boarding school on the hill. The building had 5 floors. They streamed the whole thing live. You can still find the footage if you know where to look. At 2:11 a.m., the camera jolts. One of the hunters, Mia, says she feels cold. Another, Tyler, starts muttering something, barely audible, but the mic picks it up. Don't look down, don't look down, don't look. Then they reach the 4th floor. The camera hits the 4th step. It pauses. You hear something breathe, then scream, then silence. Static for 24 minutes. When the feed returns, the camera is in a stairwell, lying on its side. Only one person remains, Jenna, the quiet one, her eyes wide, mouth twitching. She whispers something before the feed cuts completely. There's someone under the stairs, but when you check, they're already behind you. They never found the others, only the camera, and 3 sets of footprints leading to a window on the 4th floor. The window, of course, was open. And yes, the 4th step was wet. You can walk up to the 4th floor if you like. Just don't put your weight on that step. And whatever you do, don't look down. After her father's sudden death, 24-year-old Claire moved back to her childhood home to help her mother clean it out and prepare it for sale. The grief hung in every corner, especially in the basement, where her father had taken to drinking heavily during his last year. They listed the home, and on Sunday, Claire hosted the open house alone. It was busier than expected. Couples, curious neighbors, and one man who didn't sign in, tall, dressed in black, with pale skin and cloudy eyes. She assumed he was just another neighbor. She noticed him walk into her father's old study and close the door behind him. But when she checked the room minutes later, it was empty. That night, she was alone in the house. Her mom had left town for a few days. Claire planned to clean up and finish packing. She poured a glass of wine, sat on the couch, and scrolled through her phone. But the house felt off. The air was heavy, as though someone had turned off all the ventilation. She checked the thermostat. Dead. Lights flickered. She told herself it was the old wiring. Until she saw something on the baby monitor they'd left on from staging the nursery. It had turned itself on. The screen showed the upstairs hallway, just outside her childhood bedroom. And there was someone standing there facing the camera. Still. Pale. Not moving, not blinking. She ran upstairs. No one was there. But the closet door was wide open, and carved into the inside of the door, scratched, not written, was a word she hadn't heard in years. Whisper. That was the name she gave her imaginary friend as a kid. Her mom used to laugh about how Claire would talk to Whisper for hours, but after her 7th birthday, she stopped, refused to even say the name again. Claire had no memory of any of it. Things got worse. The next night, all the mirrors in the house were fogged, even though no one had showered. And on each mirror, faint handprints, small ones, like a child's. Claire wiped one clean. As the condensation cleared, she saw herself. And behind her, standing in the hallway, that same man from the open house. His eyes were milky white, his mouth stitched shut. But his reflection was smiling. She spun around. No one was there. She tried to leave the house that night. But when she reached the front door, it was bricked up, as if it had never existed. Every window showed a different time of day. One showed bright daylight, another a pitch-black void. The clock spun counterclockwise. Her phone displayed a video of her sleeping, filmed from the foot of the bed while she was still awake. Then the dreams began. She dreamed of the basement, of her father, but he wasn't himself. He was crying, sobbing into his hands, whispering, "I told it to leave. I told it not to touch you." Claire woke up in the basement. She had no memory of going there. She was holding an old photograph. It was her, age 7, standing next to her father and an empty chair. But the photo was warped, melted at the edges, like it had been in a fire. In the bottom corner, barely visible, was a pale hand resting on her shoulder. There had been no one there when the photo was taken. The truth? Her imaginary friend wasn't imaginary. Her father had been trying to protect her from something he invited into the house after experimenting with seances and spirit boards during his last year alive. He thought he was speaking to her deceased grandfather, but what answered him was not family. It latched on to Claire as a child. When she turned 7, she stopped acknowledging it, and so it waited, dormant, for years. And the open house was its opportunity to let more energy in. Every stranger walking through the door brought it power. Especially the man with no name. He wasn't alive. He never had been. The final moment. On the 5th night, Claire set up her phone to record herself sleeping. Proof that something was happening. She never made it to bed. The video showed her sitting on the edge of the mattress, staring blankly ahead. Behind her, Whisper emerged from the closet, pale, smiling, no eyes. He leaned in, pressed his stitched mouth to her ear, and whispered something. Claire stood up, walked into the basement, and the door closed itself. She was never seen again. The house was eventually sold, but the listing notes one odd condition. Do not close the closet doors. He doesn't like that.